All right, Love Gun. Welcome everyone, a Smoker by Kiss, and my good friend Dave asked me about this and I swore I did it, but I think I confused it with Making Love. Now I've done that song and I find the lead with the triplets to remind me of each other, although different. I think that's why I thought I did it, so glad here to bring you Love Gun. We're going to cover both the Alive 2 and the studio record. I've written all this out. We are in E-flat tuning, so tune your guitar down a half step. My notes will be available linked below the video, so click on that and download them, and you'll have everything I'm going to go over. So this song will start out with an E power chord, and we're going to hit that down, up 4 times, then another down, up, and then a down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So it'll be 7 hits this third time through. Then we stop, and then we come back in with an E power chord, and then we're going to move up to a G power chord. This is what Paul plays, I believe, in watching the live videos. So he goes up to a G chord, and then a 12th fret A chord up here an octave ahead, and then back to a D power chord and a C power chord. Then we're going to do a slide in from the D to E, back to D, and then we start again. And then we're into the verse. Now, what Ace does, you know, Paul and Ace, what I love about them is they never play the same chords together. That's what gives their songs such big bloom. So when Paul plays the G and A here, Ace goes to a G 4th root and A 4th root. So this will be at the 5th fret of the 4th string, 7th fret of the 3rd. Move that up for an A. All right. So we have then and then back to a D and then C. So and he does the same slide in and back. Alright, so, you know, that again, that's what adds to the flavor of the song. So that's what both Paul and Ace are playing in the intro, which leads us into verse 1. Now, verse 1, our chords change. We're going to go from E to G to D back to E. Now they do something really cool here, and this is what Paul does. He's going to go E back or up to G, and then to a 6th root G, more as a passing chord leading us into a C and D, and then eventually E again. All right, so we have this. Then back again. So we got our G, D, E. Then you'll hear on the recording an E minor 7. So that's simply played, if you were playing an E minor, you just leave your pinky off. You can play an E minor, that sounds good, but the more I listen to it, I think it's an E minor 7. Alright, and then, so those are the chords Paul plays during the verse. Alright, what Ace is doing during the verse is basically he's playing bits of the chords. Okay, this is on the studio album. Live, I think he's just kind of playing the chords because Paul's just jumping around and singing, and Ace is doing a main rhythm. But on the studio recording, he's playing an E minor here at the 12th fret, so we'll be on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. Then we go up to the 1st and 2nd string at 15, and then back to 10 on the 1st and 2nd string. And then back to that E minor. Then we're going to go 15, 10 on the 1st and 2nd, back to 8, and then 10, and then our E minor. So it's there. I mean, if you're listening to the recorded version, it's really cool because it took me a little bit to figure that out. I was like, what inversions of the chords is he playing? And they're more dyads or two notes. But yeah, it's really cool. Okay, while the other main guitar is going, and I've noted that, so it's in my notes for you. Then we're into the pre-chorus. All right, for the pre-chorus, Paul does A to D to E. I'm sorry, A to D to E minor, 7th. No place to hide me, baby. Then he's going to go A, and then to D, and then to the intro. And that leads us into the chorus. So the pre-chorus for Paul, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now what Ace does during the pre-chorus is he's playing the 4th root chord. He's going to hit this A up here at the 7th fret, 4th string, and he'll use the 2nd string at 10 in addition to that 3rd string at 9. Then he does this little, it's a form of D, but we're going to use, kind of like playing an A up here and adding the extra 2 notes from the A6th. All right, so he's just adding on the 10th fret his little finger over the 2nd and 1st string, and then the 4th and 3rd string would be over 7. All right, so then he comes back to E minor. All right, back to our A and then D. And then he comes in with the. All right, so that's the difference in the chording. If you got 2 guitars and you're working this song out, or you want to play one or the other, it's a great way to learn it. So we'll go into the chorus next, which is real fun to play. So if you think of the pre-chorus at the end when we do the E and so forth, it's really the intro reprised, and then the chords from the intro are the chorus. So I'll play Paul's part. All right, then we're into verse 2. So the key to chorus 1 is it only goes through once. Then we're into verse 2. Verse 2, exactly like what we've learned. Then we're into pre-chorus 2, just like the first pre-chorus. And then we're into chorus 2. Now chorus 2, we've done our intro into it, the last half of the pre-chorus. We'll do that a total of 4 times instead of 2. The first chorus only goes through it twice. The second chorus goes through it 4 times. After the fourth time, we do our E. We do that lick twice, which leads us into the solo and the solo rhythm. Now the solo rhythm that Ace plays over is another measure or two sets of the E's. Alright, that is where the solo happens. And then we go into chorus 3, which is really the outro. And it just keeps repeating as they fade out on the album. Alright, so again, that'll just fade out on the album. I'm going to go over both leads, the Alive 2 and the regular live next. So this way you have the song. But what I want to talk about is the Alive 2 outro. All right, it's the third chorus. We'll play that a total of 3 measures. And then we do 2 full measures, or 8 times of the E. That's one set, another set, another set, another set. I should say 4 full sets. And then they just end on an E. Alright, so that's the Alive rhythm. So now all we have left really are the solos. Okay, so we're going to go over the solo. The first couple of measures are the same on the Alive 2 and the album. And then the next few licks that he does happen in the outro or the chorus 3 that takes us out. Alright, so I don't want you to think the solo's like, quote, real short because of the rhythm. The licks continue into the outro chorus 3. Alright, so watching Ace do this live, I noticed a couple different things, and even one thing Tommy Thayer did a little different from what Ace does that I incorporated. So I'm going to show you both ways, but I think they're both really smart, if you will, way of playing this. So the solo starts out E minor pentatonic. It's right through from the 6th string at 12 all the way through 15 on the 1st string. The exact... We're just playing triplets, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, when I first listened to this and was learning it, I thought it would be something like this. I'll just stop there. And then, again, I always research this. I was watching Ace play this, and I noticed he started at the 10th position. So that means the G note is played on the 5th string. And it made a lot of sense to me because it's just easier than reaching your thumb and having to, reaching your pinky up there and having to move your hand around. It just lends itself better to picking through it. One other thing I found, if I start picking this at the beginning of the lick, you're more between the strings versus out, in, out, in. So there's a whole science to picking quickly. But I found starting with an up pick. So I'm going to be going from 12 on the 6th string to 10 on the 5th string. Back to 12. That's my first set. Then I go back to 10, and then we're going to go to 12 on the 5th string. Then we just move it up to 14. Alright, you can slide it, that's fine. It's a slur that no one would notice. So we're just going to continue up the scale, back and forth. Alright, I'm going to stop on the second string here. Now, this is where I was watching the version with Tommy Thayer play this, and Ace just keeps going up. But I noticed at this point Tommy moved up and then continued. So I gave that a try, and what he's doing, he's substituting the E on the second string at the 17th fret for 12 and then 15, so we're right there. And we can end it right there more or less. Here we got to skip up. So the way I think is best to do it is starting on the 10th fret. We'll start it really at the 12th fret of the 6th string to the 10th fret of the 5th. When you get there, just slide up and grab 15 on the 2nd string to the 1st string at, 17 on the 2nd string to 15 on the 1st string, and then 15. Alright, so that ends our triplets. So, all together, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, what Ace does is go up to 19 and then hit 17 and 15 twice. So it's like 3 more triplets. Then he moves to the 19th position, hits 22 on the very first string, pulling off to 19, back down. And then hitting it with some vibrato as you bend it. And then slides off. All right? One more time slowly, the combined way, Ace and Tommy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that's the lead. If you don't want to do what Tommy does, you just continue on. Alright, but I wrote out the combination. So, you know the notes on the fretboard? Just switch them. Okay, so that first lick we just went over really covers Alive 2 and the album. Now, I'm going to stick with the album licks, and then we'll go over Alive 2 because they vary from here. Alright, so on the album, you'll hear him do 3 pinch harmonics at the 14th fret before he hits it, bends, releases, pulls off to 12, and lands on 14. At that point, he takes right off from there on 14 to 12, a Chuck Berry style lick. And then he's going to pull off from the 15th fret to 12, then the 14th fret to 12, landing on 15 on the 2nd string back to 12. So we have this. And I should say he does that Chuck Berry twice. I'm sorry. He'll do that a total of 6 times, all right? So it's a great lick. It's very, very fast. I mean, Ace doesn't really, I notice, rest his palm. He just uses his wrist and plays right through the strings. So some hints, again, if you start with an up pick on that 14th fret of this 3rd string, you can go down with the next 2. It adds to the speed. The 4th time, he will play the Chuck Berry 4 times. Then we're going to hit 15 pulled off to 12 twice on the 2nd string, landing on 14 on the 3rd, back to 12. Then we'll come back to 14 on the 3rd string, pulled off to 12 twice, then slide to 11. And then catch with your pinky 14 on the 4th fret to end. So that whole 4th lick, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now there's one more lick. They'll sing a little bit and you'll hear this lick, but it's a harmony lick. So I've got both of them figured out for you. So I think on the recording it's just overdubbed because live they never really play this as a harmony. Alright, so we'll go over the harmony if you want to play and you got 2 guitars. It'll sound like this. So it's basically what we just did from the 12th fret. Hitting the 1st string 12th fret to the 2nd string at 15 pulled off to 12 twice. Coming to 14 on the 3rd, back to 12 on the 2nd. Then 14 to 12 pulled off twice and then slide to 11. And catch 14. Now the harmony guitar does this. Alright, so he's playing on the 1st string 15, 14, 12, then he comes to 14 and pulls off to 12. 12 on the 2nd to, I'm sorry, 15 on the 2nd string to 12 on the 1st. 15 pulled off to 12 twice on the 2nd. And then 14 to 12. So slowly, the 2nd harmony, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that is all the licks in the album version. So after we've ended that run up the fretboard, the next lick during the Alive 2 album is, and the rest of the solos, a lot different from what he does on the album. It's just more jamming. So the first lick he does will be this. Alright, so what he's doing is sliding in on the 4th string from 12 to 14, catching on the 3rd string 12 back to 14. Then we come to 12 again on the 3rd, and then we'll hit 14 with 4 bends. Then we're going to do a hammer on and pull off from 12 to 14 back to 12, and quickly landing on 14 on the 4th string. Then we come back to 12, and then 14 on the 3rd string bent up and some vibrato. And then just a 14 pulled off to 12. Now he moves to 15, and he's going to hit that 3 times before bend and release and pull off to 12. Then he starts the lick we know, the 2 Chuck Berrys, and then the 12, 14 pull off, back to 15 and 12. And he only does it at this point once. So that second measure, I'm going to start with the 15 bends. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he kind kind of takes off from here. He's going to go to the first string, pull off from 15 to 12, land on the second string at 15, back to 12 on the first string, and then 15 to 12 pulled off twice on the second. 14 on the third, back to 12, back to 14, pulled off to 12 twice. Landing on 14 on the fourth, back to 12. 14 to 12 pulled off on the fourth. Seeing a little repetition here. Landing on 14 on the fifth string, and then 12 slid off. Alright, so we have this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now he comes back with the lick that we're familiar with, and he'll do that 2 times. And then he goes into the final lick. Alright, so that is the gist of it. Now, they'll sing a little bit, and then he's going to do 2 more runs, and these are exactly the same. So rather than play the harmony part, this is what he plays. It's the second harmony guitar, where we go from 15, 14 to 12 on the first string. The second time he does it, he just stops at 12 on the second string. Alright, and then they're into... And then they just end the song. So, those are all the solos, that's all the licks, it's in my notes. Love Gun, classic song. I hope you guys enjoy.